Hello there, beautiful humans, and welcome back to Antie's Adventure Assortment. I'm back out on our beach. It's the day before Christmas, and it's incredibly mild, about 7 degrees Celsius, and rainy. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay out here, but I know that it's going to get really cold very soon, and I want to see what I can find before everything freezes up tight. So stick around, and I'll meet you at the first plug. My first plug was this big piece of wire. It's a strange shape. That's made for something, but I have no idea. Help me out. It's pretty quiet, but this rang up a 60, and it was just about a foot into the water. So let's give it a rinse and see what we have. Oops. Now, is that a little shell casing or a rivet? I'm not sure. But at least it's not a little part of a rusty nail, which was what I found in the second plug. This is only my third plug. Moving on. This was a pretty mixed signal, and rightly so. We got a steel screw there and a chunk of wire. Not sure whether that's copper wire or iron wire. I'll check it on my magnet. Doesn't stick to the magnet, so that's copper wire. And a chunk of deck board with an iron screw in it. No wonder it was a jumpy, funky signal. I just want to show you this little buddy. This is one of our freshwater clams. They were in big trouble about 10, maybe 15 years ago with the zebra mussels that were introduced by mistake. But they're coming back now. I'm really glad. These little brown dudes, they live in freshwater lakes. So there you go. This is a fairly small one. They can grow up to, like 4 inches long. This little guy's maybe 1.5 or 2 inches at the most. Merry Christmas, little clam. The joke's on me. I scraped my way down through frozen sand to get me a rusty bottle cap taco. Yeah, it's pretty frozen now. There are a few areas that are still diggable. I'm going to find them. Yep. As Missouri Mike says, keeping it real, baby. Keeping it real. Here are 3 of our little freshwater snails. They're small, they're less than half an inch, I'd say. Like this one here is about 1/4 inch. This one maybe, a little shade more. Again, they do no harm, and they eat the algae and stuff, so we like to have these here. Freshwater snails. Merry Christmas to you, the Snail Brothers. I'm on the other side of the dock now. That's where we park the boat. And this is where we park the Sea-Doo. And as you can see, it's a lot stonier. But right close to the dock, I had a loud iron signal. I don't usually dig iron now, but I dug this because we don't want to have that nail so close to the surface, where hubby is often in his bare feet pulling the Sea-Doo up to rope it. So I saved him a trip to the tetanus ward. Cleaning the beach. You are looking at my happy face. because I finally got my first silver. Merry Christmas, Auntie! A 1960 silver quarter. This is a Christmas present and a half. And let me tell you this. Not only is this my very first silver, but here I go. This is a birth year coin, 1960. Now you know how old I am, and it doesn't make a bit of difference. I am so flippin' ecstatic to have this coin, and I got it from the cottage. So maybe my husband or his dad or his mother or his brother dropped this coin. It wouldn't be my husband. He wouldn't have been able to even hold a quarter. Oh my goodness. This is so exciting. I'm babbling. Here it is. It's grimy and tarnished, and I'm so happy. And here's the side with the Queen. Even though you can't see her. Good day to you, Mom. Merry Christmas, Your Majesty. Happy, happy Auntie. I just about had a conniption because about 6 feet away in the rocks, I had another really high number signal. But this one is a more modern quarter. This is one of these solid metal quarters from after the silver years. You see how pitted it is? It's like those funky quarters that I gave away for my birthday. Cool. I can have another giveaway. Here's another coin. It's a copper penny from the early 90s. It's not. It's a nickel. Oh my goodness. Silly me. It's a nickel. Look how red it is. I should be able to get the date on this. 2000 on the button. Yep. A millennium nickel. 40 years older than that silver quarter. Let's give the Queen a rinse. There you go, Mom. And I'll put you in my pouch. This was a jumpy medium numbers signal hanging around in the 60s and 70s. It's a shell casing. I can't see. There we go. It's a bit corroded. I can't see the caliber. So someone was doing a bit of shooting. I've got a 90 signal right where I put my toe. So let's have a dig and see what we can find together. Right there. Oh, look how it's filling up with water right away. There goes my shovel. Giving that a wash. Let's go with the lights. Still in the hole. Still in the hole. This might be a big chunk of can slaw or something. Oh, there we go. What the heck? Well, that's it. Holy moly, what is that? It's a huge cleat. It's a dock cleat or a boat cleat. I wonder if that's brass. It was plated. I don't think that's iron, ladies and gentlemen. Bring out the rare earth magnet here. It should stick to anything. It does not. It doesn't even stick to the screws. That is a big hunk of brass. Hefty. How cool is that? I'm on this sandy beach, which is just beyond our dock. There's our dock. I had to be very intrepid and crawl underneath that pine bough, which you probably should have seen on film because it was hilarious. And this is not where we normally swim because you have to get over all those rocks. Which is no fun on bare feet. Now this one I think is iron, based on its little jacket and all the concretions here, and also based on the low number. It was ringing in about 12. Interesting. It looks like a door handle. I thought this was just a hunk of aluminum when I pulled it out, but it's a dog tag. It's got that bell shape to it. It says rabies vaccine 1951? No, surely not. Maybe 1981. Colburn Street Vet Hospital, Aurelia. I'll have to check that date. It might be 1991. We'll see. Oh, it's starting to snow. I might have to go in soon. Well, this will never do. Look at that, sticking right up like that. That could cause mayhem on the footskis. I will remove. Make beach safe for her feet. Right here under the overhang, I found a little copper ring. I don't think it's a finger ring. I think it's just a twist of copper wire, but it had me fooled there for a moment. It's getting really cold. And it's beginning to snow, so I'm going to go in soon. I'm almost back to the dock. Here comes Urkel, the wonder dog. He probably thinks it's time to get me in here for lunch. This was a really funky signal. It started out 93, 94, and then as I took the first layer of sand off it, it went down to 50 something, and then, yeah, when I got it out, it rang up 93 again. It's a nickel from 1963. Good day to you, Mom. This was a 73 signal about 4 inches down, and it's a wheat scent. Ha go me! Plugmaster Ford and Missouri Mike are going to have some competition for Wheatie King. Or Wheatie Queen, since it's Antie. I think it's a 1957. I'll take it. This might be my last plug, but I'm still going to swing on my way back up to the cottage. Well, that's a beaut. Don't need that in the beach. I'm glad I was able to get that out of here. And how fitting that my last plug should be identical to my first plug. I think I know what this is now. I think these are the armatures for a Chinese lantern. Hello there, beautiful humans, and welcome to the wrap-up for my hunt at the beach, my Christmas Eve hunt. I'm getting to the end of the Christmas holiday now. We're thinking about getting back to town and going back to work, but I just wanted to do the wrap-up here and let you know what I found. So the first find of the day was this armature, which I believe is for a Chinese lantern. The last find of the day was the other one. Pretty rusty, but it's interesting to have those, to have found them. Got my bottle cap taco that fooled me. Piece of strapping with a hole in it. Yahoo! A rusty nail, a big bent rusty nail, another rusty nail. I'm glad to get these out of the beach. And the rusty nail in its little jacket of rust. I just think that's so cool. It's like a nail in a cocoon of rust. My other rusty object is this door handle, which is in a jacket, and it also has a bunch of stones rusted onto the rust, adhering to the rust. But underneath you can see the door handle and its pattern. I believe this might have been one of those door handles that had the paddle latch, which is broken off. I'll see if I can whack that with a hammer, get rid of the rust, and reclaim that in some way. Non-metal finds. A beautiful pair of shells. This was attached together, kind of like a butterfly wings. So this is the freshwater clam. It's not the one I pointed out to you in the water. That was a live one. This one I found on the beach, and it was wide open. So something had clams for dinner and left the shell. Piece of glass. We don't want that on the beach. A can lid, which says best before 2020 July 12th. So that must just have blown out of somebody's garbage. And the bottom of a beer bottle, and it says 21, and then there's an image I don't recognize because I don't drink beer, and a 67, and on the other side it says Canada. So hubby suggests that this might have been from a bottle of Molson 67, which is their 67 calorie beer. I don't know. I kind of wonder if it maybe was from Canada in 1967. Anyway, if you can help me identify that beer bottle, not that it matters, I'm just glad to get it off the beach. It was sitting up there right like that, and although it's not sharp anymore, having been ground down by the sand and water, it would still give you a nasty shock if you stepped on that. So now over to the more interesting finds. The piece of can slaw. It's just that gorgeous color that aluminum goes when it's weathered. A tiny piece of foil, a little offcut from something, a piece of melted aluminum slag. Somebody must have dropped a drink can into the bonfire. And this little, looks like a rivet. I found some brass, some copper, little copper twist of wire. I thought that was a ring at first, but it's not. Another piece of copper wire. A couple of shell casings. This one I think says 308. I'll post a still photograph too. And this one is a smaller caliber, and I don't recognize it. I can't see any letters on it. I don't know anything about ammunition. That one looks old to me though, and the firing pin is off center. For what that's worth. I also found a great big boat cleat. This is solid brass, even the screws are brass, and there's still some wood from the boat deck attached to it. I'm going to try and polish this up. I know I won't get it back to the state of the plating because the plating's almost gone, but I'm going to polish it up and then use it as the pull on the door of our towel cabinet in the bathroom here at the cottage. I also found what I thought was a piece of aluminum scrap, and it is my third dog tag. 1991 rabies vaccine, Colborne Street Vet Hospital, Orillia, Ontario. I was thinking I would bend that little ear back, but for sure it would split because it's not even, it's got some voids here. So that's going to hang up in my dog tag display with the other two I found at my friend's house. Some coins. Another super funky quarter, which is as light as a feather because it's incredibly worn and pitted. Now, I honestly don't know whether this is a modern clad quarter that all the iron has leached out, rusted out of it, or whether this is what happens to nickel quarters when they're exposed to the water for a long time. But this is just in a similar condition to those two funky quarters, or two funky coins that I gave away for my birthday giveaway. So, yeah, there it is. No idea of the date. I was able to determine that one side, I can show you a photograph, one side of it I can just make out the Canada. Which goes alongside the caribou. This very red nickel is from 2000. So that's an interesting color. This not red nickel is from 1963. I thought it might be 1968, but then I checked the front and it's the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. So it's either 63 or 65, and I think it's 63. My second wheat scent off this property. The first one I found on the lawn near the edge of the grove of trees between our cottage and the neighbor's cottage to the north of us. It was in 1946, I believe, and this is in 1957. I don't have my loupe, so I can't tell the mint mark. I see a little thing, so I believe it has a mint mark and isn't a P, isn't a Philadelphia. And there's the wheat ears on the back, just barely visible now because this is really worn. And my bucket list item, my very first silver coin, metal detecting. It took me a year and a half to find my first silver, and here it is, the young Queen Elizabeth II. And a very, very tarnished caribou. And let me get the light right. It's a 1960 25-cent piece. I am so happy to have this. I'm still just hugging myself that I finally have my first silver coin. It's such a wonderful feeling, and I'm just thrilled to bits that it came off our property here at the cottage, and my first silver coin was minted the year I was born. So now you know that Auntie is no spring chicken, although she feels like it when she has a metal detector in her hands. So, my friends, thank you for coming along on this wonderful and rewarding hunt. And until I see you again, here's Auntie waving goodbye. Toodaloo.